Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we have a brand new German Tier 6 Premium Destroyer to take a look at. Now, let's get to the commander. First of all, we're going to be using Maximilian von Spee, or Spee. I don't know if this is pronounced the same as the Graf Spee, so I'm going to assume it is. But Maximilian it is. Of course, for my destroyers, you know I like my concealment, so I got Eric Bay and Jerzy Swirsky as our inspirations. We've got Subsurface Venture. We've got Fragile Threat. We have Back in Stock. We have Destroyer Be Destroyed, which gives us better movement speed in our destroyers. Even though we lose a little bit of accuracy on our main guns, these guns are pretty accurate, so that doesn't seem to matter. We are also legendary too, and we have the unstoppable perk for that engine not getting knocked out. Alright, so let's see what we got for equipment, shall we? We've got Aiming Systems Mod 1, we have Propulsion Mod 2, and we have Concealment System Mod 1. Now, you'll notice I stack up on the concealment on this thing because we want to get rid of the one negative that this ship has, other than lack of main guns. But we'll get into that in a moment. So our loadout, we've got 2 smoke. They're meh smokes. They're like not super long duration, but you know, they're not horrible either. We have engine boost, 2 of them, and we have 2 of the German sonars, which means we can spot ships from 5 kilometers, which is going to come in handy in this match that you're about to watch. But we also get 2 of those. Now, I'm not using any boosters, but we've got the permanent camo that comes on it when you buy it, and we have the community contributor flag flying because why not? Now, survivability, because we take a little bit of our hit points off, we still have 17,640 hit points, which is pretty high, especially for a Tier 6 destroyer. Artillery, we have 4 guns. 2 at the front, which is a twin turret, and 2 guns at the rear, which are both single turrets. They're all 150mm guns, so they don't reload the fastest. They fire out to 10.5 kilometers. And the rear turrets especially are kind of sluggish. The fronts always seem to be where you need it, but the rears seem to take a little bit when you have to change sides. Chance of fire is 12%, and that's pretty good for a destroyer, but I mean, it's 150mm guns. Torpedoes, we have 533mm torpedoes. We have 8 of them, 2 turrets that have 4 torps each. They reload in 73.8 seconds, so 74 seconds. They are it takes 6 seconds for the torpedo tubes to turn from one side of the ship to the other. And they do 14,400 damage, which is respectable. It's not the hardest hitting torpedoes, but you'll know you've been touched. Now, torpedo range is 8.5 kilometers, which is okay, it's mediocre. It's not up into the long range. I figure anything over 9 is considered long-range torpedoes, so it's right there at the high end of the mediums. So not bad. 69 knot torpedoes, not too shabby. They're just not. It's not a bad ship. It's kind of a general purpose, I can do everything ship. Maximum speed 37.5 knots. Turning circle is not good for a destroyer, 670 meters. Ugh. And you feel it too, trust me, especially with propulsion mod on. Rudder shift time's 4.5 seconds, which isn't bad, but the ship just doesn't like to turn. Now, concealment, we've got maxed out, 4.9 kilometers. So even though you're about to see this thing supposedly is exposed, imagine what this could be if it wasn't. Like, I'm at 4.9 kilometer conceal, like that's how close you have to be to see me. Tough, it's above average base XP or HP rating. It's got big guns, obviously. Exposed, below average concealment, but because we've completely nulled that out, like there's no way that should even be on there at this point. The last sister ship to the Z-23 belonged to a series of ships laid down after the start of World War II, type 1936A Mob. Can anybody guess when they started making these or designing it? She carried 150mm guns between 1944 and 1945. The ship underwent an overhaul, which saw the considerable reinforcement of her AA defenses. This, however, required that one of the ship's main guns be demounted. Ships in service, 15 of these were built, and she entered service in 1943. Now, notice there's been a trend of destroyers lately coming in with AA mounts. Is that going to be a thing? Are we looking potentially at a closer look at possible carriers in the near future? I personally hope not, but with them implementing all of these all these destroyers lately that have AA guns on them, I would assume that that's kind of what we're looking at in the near future. So those of you who've been asking for it for a long time, I hope you don't regret it. I know I will. So with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we are in the Z39. Now, it's funny that the Z39 just came out because I recently unlocked a brand new Tier 7 destroyer, the Z23. And I've been using it to try to get a good game, and I just haven't had quite the game that I wanted to get in order to bring you guys what I try to bring you. And just so happens, that gave me enough, experience in German ships at this tier, German destroyers at this tier, that I was able to, very first game, pull something out of nothing. So hopefully you guys are ready. We're in for an absolute doozy. So, yeah, let's get this party started, shall we? Alright, so first things off, we're on neighbors. It's not domination, which is nice, because that doesn't mean I have to, go around specifically trying to capture objectives. It means I can do more of the hunting role of this ship is capable of. With our superior detection range, just due to the fact of the way our commanders are currently set up. Now, for those of you who ask me all the time about who is Jerzy Swirsky, where can I get Jerzy Swirsky, he is literally the commander, the Polish commander that you get when you buy the premium destroyer, the Błyskawica, or the Błyskawica, or however it's pronounced, the Polish Lightning. So, initially, there's a few things that you need to know about these high-tier German ships, and that is, they're not the fastest girls in the world, or boys. I don't know if these are considered males or not. I know most of the German ships are, or at least the battleships are, so maybe that's a thing. But yeah, you definitely have to learn to use these ships. A little bit more finesse is required than your standard low concealment destroyer. But once you get the hang of these things, especially the Z23, which don't worry, that video is going to be coming up shortly as soon as I can get one good enough for you guys. I've gotten a bunch of average games, but I don't like to show you guys average. I like to show you guys good games. And this is going to be a good game in the Z39, and it just so happens it was my first game in the Z39, which is perfect. I like it when a plan comes together like that, especially in destroyers, because we all know I ain't the best destroyer in the world. Now, I'm assuming that somebody was screening for that Mutsu because he just so happened to turn away after I fired my torpedoes, which is unfortunate because he looked like he was going to take a whole mess of them. But he must have seen them coming and turned away, and these things, like I said, aren't super long-range torpedoes, so you're not going to have a lot of those long-range, oopsie, I missed and hit somebody. It's not Japanese destroyers out here, where you just launch the torpedoes, and even if you miss somebody, you're pretty much going to hit something at some point, because they just go on forever. But no. You can see I'm kind of putting myself in a central position. I knew I would run into their destroyers, and it just so happens that I run into the enemy Z39. Now, I get my smoke going, even though I know that he can detect me with his sonar. I'm inside 5 kilometers, which means as soon as he pops his sonar, I'm going to be detected. But I start reversing, he's starting to sail away from me, which means I'm only going to be detected by his radar for a few seconds. As you can see in 3, 2, 1, and he's out of my range, I'm out of his range. Neither of us can spot either. And because I've, already said that these smoke screens don't last the longest, they're not bad smoke screens by any stretch, but they're not amazing smoke screens to sit in. Plus, sitting in a smoke screen when a destroyer literally just sailed in front of you, probably not a good idea. So we're going to get out of there. We're going to head over to the left side of the map and try to do what we can. Now, you'll notice on the map, there's only one cruiser on the enemy team. And that cruiser is being the most aggressive ship on his team. And a Russian cruiser, aka the Kutuzov, which anybody looks at it funny, it dies. That's just the way the Kutuzov plays. There's a reason that thing has 19.5 kilometer range, and that's because if you look at it funny, it will die. But unfortunately, even with 15 centimeter guns, there you go. How about that? Ha! Gotcha. You thought I was going to say 15-inch guns, didn't you? Nope, I got it. I saved myself. 15 centimeter, aka 150 millimeter guns. We can't quite pull off... Oh, God, he disappeared just as we were about to start opening fire. That's a shame. Now, you'll notice that all of my help over here has kind of whittled away. There are 2 battleships behind me, but we are going to push away. Now, they lost their gaiety pretty early. He kind of gave himself up, and our guy over there punched him in the mouth. We looked at him temporarily, but realized firing at him in front of a Japanese battleship and a couple other battleships, probably not a good idea. So, yeah, we held our fire in that particular case. Now, you can see I'm launching some torpedoes, trying to catch this Bajani off guard, and we're not going to quite pull it off. But you'll see I also switched to AP because I figure with 150 millimeter guns, they should be big enough to, even at range, potentially punch through that side armor on that ship. And that would be very, very preferable. But you can see I'm hesitant on firing because those torpedoes look pretty good to me. Like, I don't know about you guys, but those look pretty good, and it's about this point I realized that I was a little bit short. He either sped up or just got lucky. He got away with it. But he's still broadside to me, and we're about to have an island to fire over here in a minute, so I'm going to try firing over the island at him to see what happens. You know, maybe I'll get some good penetrations, or maybe I'll get literally nothing out of it. But I don't want to be detected. However, I fully underestimated the detectability when firing, and that island was not enough to keep me from being detected. Now, right here, I am crapping bricks. There are 2 battleships with me, but they've got their hands full with a destroyer who is sneaking into our base. I didn't know that at the time, but I do now. Now, I don't know what they're doing. I just know that I'm asking for this Bajani. I don't care about battle. I can whoop the crap out of battleships, as you're about to see with this Scharnhorst, who's surely, with me spotted this entire time, not going to push out in front of the enemy. Like, you know there's a destroyer over here. He was spotted for so long, and yet you're like, I'm going to sail between these 2 islands because Scharnhorst has to get... Oh, God! Owie! Owie! Ouch. Yep. That didn't feel so good, but neither did that, did it, Scharnhorst? As we take all of his health with that salvo, and wait for it. Come on, flooding. Come on. Down goes the Scharnhorst for our first devastating strike of the game. Not too shabby, if you ask me, for a guy who doesn't play a whole lot of destroyers. Now, what I do like about the German destroyers is their extra hit points allows you to be a little bit more careless. You can put yourself into positions that other destroyers wouldn't necessarily get away with because you just have hit points. Most of the destroyers that you get into at Tier 7 have like 15,000 hit points. You've got almost 18,000 hit points, and that's only reduced because of our build. Now notice, the Bajani, I have to leave. First of all, I don't want to get in a fight with a Russian cruiser in a destroyer. It just doesn't end well for you. Second of all, the enemy, and right now I am trying to figure out which is most likely the person in the base. Now, I know it's one of two ships. It's either the Benson or the Z-39. Either way, I'm going to be in for a fight. I'm hoping it's the Z-39, and sure enough, the Z-39 gets lit up. Now, we don't want to open immediately because he's at significant range. Hitting him from here is going to be a bit of a troll, so we don't want to engage yet. Plus, we don't want him to know that we're coming. So we're going to go ahead and get ready. He's inside our range of our torpedoes with his smokescreen. You can tell by the mini-map being his last known location, obviously in that smokescreen. I launched towards the center of the smokescreen, assuming that he would put the smoke and then back off. And then, as soon as I get into the cap, I'm going to go ahead and pop my sonar. Remember, sonar can detect ships up to 5 kilometers, which means he's about to get a rude awakening. Now, we get detected first, which means he's running his sonar, but we start engaging him first. He was obviously not looking at us. He's looking at the enemy, or he's looking at our teammates, and he is broadside to everybody. This is like the worst position to ever find yourself in a destroyer. He dodges my torpedoes, and then there's a whole other wall of torpedoes coming from the other side that he has to worry about. He can't even shoot at us because he's so worried about dodging torpedoes. So we're able to maintain all of the guns on him for as long as possible. The Bajani finishes off our Moss, which is not preferable if we're real honest. And that allows the Z-39 to start moving towards us, and of course that means I missed my shot. However, we know that there are torpedoes coming. I go ahead, because my sonar is already running, we see them coming from a mile away. I knew they were going to be coming anyway, so we dodge all of his torpedoes. That also gave the friendly battleship the opportunity to dodge, and we finish off the Z-23. But that still leaves a Bajani in very close proximity, who, if he had shot at me, could be a potential problem. Luckily for us, the Scharnhorst is about to come a-knocking. Wait for it. Wow! Goodbye, Bajani. Go back to the bottom of the ocean, please. I mean, go back to port, right? Appreciate you, Scharnhorst. Don't worry, buddy. I'm on my way. I will come help you. And you will see my name light up pretty soon in the bottom right. Now, I don't know if this Scharnhorst that's down here by himself, taking on 2 battleships and a destroyer, I don't know if he's on Xbox or PlayStation. I didn't really pay attention. But I get on chat anyway, and I say, hey, just so you know, there is still a Benson out there somewheres. So be prepared for torpedoes. And so, I don't know if he heard it, but he knows, or hopefully he knows about it. I'm on my way. I've got to try to help him get rid of these guys. And it's a Scharnhorst versus 2 battleships. One of them is a Tier 5 battleship, and the other is also a Tier 5 battleship. So, Scharnhorst Tier 6 German battleship with torpedoes and fantastic secondaries against 2 Tier 5 battleships. Now, arguably 2 of the best Tier 5 battleships, the Queen Elizabeth and the New Mexico, but still, the Queen Elizabeth and the New Mexico do not have torpedoes, and they are definitely inside the torpedo range, as we can see him already launching torpedoes. Now, he launches at the New Mexico first, off of one side of his ship, and then he's going to wait for the Queen Elizabeth to get within too close, and Queen Elizabeth is going to eat all 3 of them. And then I didn't realize that I actually had armor piercing loaded here, because I intended to fight the Bajani, and I go ahead and switch over to high explosive, and you know, we actually got pretty good damage out of that armor piercing right there on the side of the Queen Elizabeth. But you can see I vastly underestimate her speed, so we need to aim a little further forward. We want to try to get a fire set. We know he's already taken flooding damage. 3 torpedoes into the belt most likely took at least 1 flood out of that, if not all 3 of them. So he definitely burned his damage con. We're just trying to set a fire. The Scharnhorst secondary set a fire before we do, just because it's a Scharnhorst. It's got a lot of secondaries. But you can see we're not able to hit the main battery, or the main tower, but we were actually hitting the secondary tower. But he's gone. That gives us our 3rd kill of the game, and the Scharnhorst unfortunately died as well. We're detected. We're at 9 kilometers out and closing as fast as we can. We are completely out of consumables, and that means only one thing. We have 13,000 health left, which means I am very, very confident in my ability to just run him down and torp him in the face. That's all I plan to do here. I tell the guy behind me to go ahead and focus him, because for whatever reason he was telling me to watch the base, but we had already seen that the destroyer was AFK in the base. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he disconnected, maybe he just didn't want to play. I don't know. But he's definitely AFK in the base, so we don't have to worry about him. And so we're just charging this New Mexico like as fast as we can, keeping as small a profile as possible. Not that it's going to make much of a difference, because he's going to shoot straight through our ship and absolutely put a hurting on us. Wait for it. And 3, 2, 1. Incoming. Yep, there goes half my health. But half is not good enough, and you get to eat all of the torpedoes, because I was not about to miss that again. 5 torpedoes out of the, 8 that we can hit him with. Not bad. Not too shabby. And then the Benson is respotted, so we get to shoot at him. And you can see at 5 kilometers we were struggling to hit a stationary ship here. It's probably my fault more than it is the ship's, but, it is what it is. And so we are going to just go up here, park broadside to him to keep all the guns firing, and try to dispatch him as quickly as possible. Now, I am aiming towards the front of the ship, and the reason for that is because it's the biggest surface that I can hit, which means I'm most likely to hit all of my shots, rather than sit there and miss low and miss high like we just had one shot drop low. So you can see the game's about over. There's 50 seconds left, but he's burning. He's got no health left. Are we going to be able to finish him off and get our Kraken before the game is over? We're about to break 100,000 damage in our first game in the Z39. Come on, baby. That's the 100K mark. He's still burning. Come on. Burn him. Burn him. Oh, we set another fire. Are we going to get the kill, or are they going to steal it? We got it. Kraken unleashed. And our first game is over. Not too shabby for somebody who doesn't play destroyers, if you ask me. 5 kills, come from behind victory, and we managed to get the Kraken unleashed. Not too shabby. Kraken, devastating strike times 2, 103,000 damage, 3,300 base XP, top of the leaderboard. So, do I like the Z39? It's not a bad ship. It's a very, very generic ship, but if you maximize the concealment, I think you're going to enjoy the ship. So if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.